Hey, what's up, folks? It's Jamie. Thank you for joining me in today's video. I'm going to go through two very unique ways that I've built digital products and how you can start incorporating some of these methods into your business if you're looking to create your own info products. So one way in particular, I was able to get paid in advance. The other way, I created the product first. I'm going to go through the pluses, the minuses, and my takeaways from going through those two different styles and how you can start incorporating those and work out which one is the best option for you. If this is the first time on the channel, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to you. My name is Jamie. I'm a full-time affiliate marketer. I'm also a coach for a program, got well over 650 students, absolutely crushing it with their affiliate marketing. There's a free case study below this video if you'd like to check out what we're up to in there. And of course, there's an option to book in a time if you'd like to chat with myself and get some guidance on your business, how I can potentially help you out this year and beyond. For all the rest of you, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I have been a little bit irregular with my uploads in recent times. However, I do intend to jump back in and start producing some pretty regular content, really just talking about my 10 plus years of online experience, hopefully help a few of you guys out as well along the way. Right, with all that being said, three different products, two different ways of actually producing those products, and relatively similar results, strangely enough, okay? But there's a very specific reason why they transpire to be very similar as it transpires. There's a lot of transpiration there we go. All right, so this first one, I'm going to go through the numbers and stuff as well. So this one is called Freedom in 4 Steps. It was actually a workshop that I put together. And so here's the cool thing is that, and by the way, just a little caveat for you guys, these stats are like I've actually moved the cart page to a completely different provider. So it looks a little bit skewed, actually did significantly more revenue than that. And also have a membership component to it now, which will probably bring in around about 30 to 50K on top of that per annum. If I don't grow it, that's based on the current numbers. It is growing on a monthly basis, however, so I suspect that's probably going to be a six-figure business by the end of this fiscal year, which is kind of cool. Right, so all that being said, one way that you can build your info products is by selling them first. And in this case, it is a workshop. I figured people might be interested in learning a little bit more about my business. I'm generating anywhere between sort of 10 to 30K in revenue each and every month. And so I figured people might want to be interested in learning more about that. So I put together this workshop, sold it at a ridiculously, unbelievably cheap rate to start with because I really wanted to build my buyers list up in order for me to be able to monetize and to send those people to my coaching or my membership or my high ticket products that I promote as well. Anyway, what happened was I put out a post. I thought I was going to see if anyone is interested. I then had about 4 or 5 people that were interested. And I thought, cool, well, maybe I'll just engage in conversation with these people and see what the deal is. As it transpires, I didn't have anything set up. There was no cart page. There was absolutely nothing. This is obviously ClickFunnels here. And I thought, as a joke to one of the people that had responded, I said, hey, how about I just send you an invoice? That way I have to commit to actually making the workshop happen. Ha, ha, ha. To which they replied, sure, sounds good. And I'm like, okay, well, here you go. Here's an invoice. So sent them an invoice, paid the whatever the sum was, and that kicked things off. And so then I thought, okay, well, I have to go ahead and do it now. And so then the next 2 sales transpired in the exact same way before I put the time into building a little cart page. I didn't really have a sales page at that stage, just a little very basic cart page, which converted absolutely amazingly as well. It was about 18, 90%. That was actually as high as 30%, as in 1 in 3 people would buy when they'd see that cart page as well, which is pretty cool. Those stats clearly have dropped significantly down since that time frame. Like I say, I've actually removed the cart page from ClickFunnels. It's actually on ThriveCart now, which is an amazing bit of software, by the way. We'll leave a link if you'd like to check that out as well. And the purpose of this was really just to launch imperfectly. This is one of the doctrines that I teach a lot of my students. I say, listen, throw yourself in the deep end. You can fix it as you go. And I did want to make sure there was a couple of things in place. So when I did develop the cart page, I made sure there was an order bump there. By the way, an order bump, just a very, very simple and easy way to extract a higher cart value. As you can see, the cart page is it's not even a huge value item. However, it did significantly increase that overall cart value quite simply because it's just a tick box people can tick. And it means that there's an additional bit of revenue that gets deposited into your business. So I sold it first. I then set a date around about 10 plus days into the future. 14 days in the future. I had a 10-day window that I decided to sell that, and I just put out posts every day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes more, including my stories from Facebook as well, to try and promote this particular workshop. And then eventually I crunched that down to that 10-day period, and then delivered on day 14. So I had around about 4 days to do the prep work for it. I went live twice. I did two 90-minute sessions, one in the morning my time, one in the evening. And therefore, I was essentially getting paid for the privilege of producing this particular workshop. And like I say, what I had also done is then pretty much taken the recording, the better of the two recordings, and really condensed that down into modules. And now it is an evergreen product that, like I say, will probably produce six figures by the end of the fiscal year, which is kind of cool. So that's the first way of doing things. And as you can see, the stats they're pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. Like I say, they're not really truly aligned to the reality, because I have changed the cart page, which is now an external software. And what that means is that what you're seeing here is kind of in the initial stages when I got started. So it gives you a bit of an idea. That was one way of doing it. The other way, another one over here. So this was, yep. So this is actually the only course in recent years, at least. I've got another three, I think I did, where I actually built the courses first before selling them. But I don't think I'll ever bother doing this again. Don't get me wrong, the stats I was pretty happy with them. And again, this isn't a true reflection of the overall revenue generated from this, because the thing that people need to understand is that when you have sold something and someone has a good experience with that front end, it is a lot easier to extrapolate that out, to send those people to your memberships, to your high ticket offers, to your coaching, all that sort of stuff. And so, sure, it made 3.5K, can't sneeze at that, that's fine. And it is still selling. I am making sales as well, by the way, at the moment. Not huge volumes, by the way, but it is still ticking away from time to time. But it's that back end ascension where the real value is. Okay, so you're getting paid up front. That's great. Who doesn't love that? But the ascension is where the real value is. Okay, so this one went significantly well. These stats don't really do it justice, because when it launched, this is just the nature of doing a launch, by the way, is that the actual conversion rate on those sales pages to start with is usually going to be a lot higher. And as the longer that product is out for, the less kind of energy is around that launch and that product. And so the interest dies off, and then you get worse and worse traffic and lower conversion rates. It's just kind of the way it goes. So to have it still sitting there at like 20+% conversion rate, yeah, it's not too bad. Right, so to give you guys some stats, some interesting things to take note of here. We're at a sales page. I don't really know opt-ins. I think I must have had a pop-up to start with, and it was probably just me testing stuff, to be honest. But overall, 15% conversion rate. Can't really sneeze at that. And then to give you some other stats, we did a split test of the actual cart page itself. So once the people went through, they were greeted with two different variations of that. One's we're sort of towards the end of the launch, so one produced a slightly better result than the other. However, it did get a pretty interesting result with both the one-click upsell. Sorry, the what do you call it? Not the one-click upsell. What do you call that thing? The order bump. Thank you. Thank you, imagination, for remembering that. And that ended up going pretty well. 62% conversion rate, and a little bit lower there at 30%. So I'm pretty happy with that. It wasn't really counting on making a ton there, but the point with these is that it increases the overall cart value, especially when you start running paid traffic to these things. If you can get it so that the overall average order value on this front end product, forget all the ascensions that you got on the back end, if you can bring that up, it's massively powerful, right? Massively. So then the other thing, I also created a page as well. I created a landing page, and that is converting like an absolute ninja at the moment. I must confess, this is all warm traffic so far. I haven't run cold traffic to it. It has been as high as 83% there. I'll give you guys a little squiz at the page, which is, if I can remember it, here we go. Alrighty, so this little beast here, pretty basic little page. It's got a little thing of New York in the background. And I went through a live on this in my Facebook group, which you're welcome to check out below, of why I feel like it converted quite well. Aside from the fact that it is a warm audience, but I think over and above that, it's the fact that it's plain, it's simple, it has a big, chunky, bold promise. But more importantly, even if you're staring away from the screen, you can't help but see that big, chunky red button there. Like there's nothing for your brain to kind of distract you with on this page. It's like, oh, there's a big red button, I better click it. It's kind of like that episode of The Simpsons where I think Homer's like, don't press the red button, and he goes and presses it, right? So same sort of thing. You just have to, man. And there you go. You've got the option of jumping in and getting the free tool that I created. So that's why that's converting really high. And now I've just ruined my stats by showing it off to everyone. Oh, gosh, what am I doing? Anyway, so that's converting really well. So that leads to a sequence, and that sequence is actually converting. Don't know what the stats are on the conversion, but they go through that. They get an email sequence follow-up, and then invite them to jump onto the actual product itself, right? So pretty cool stuff. Right, what we've got is the last one, which is this example here. So it's called the Sales Prognosticated Masterclass, or SPM for short. And again, not huge stats. We're not talking about something that is, making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. The point of this isn't to actually make a ton of cash off that front end. This is the thing I really want to hammer home, especially if you're an affiliate marketer, for example. Because of course, if you're an affiliate marketer, then why are you creating your own bloody products, man? Well, that's the whole point, is that you are trying to build up your buyers list, because the more buyers you have, the better experience they've had on that front end, the easier it is to ascend those people to your memberships, to your high ticket coaching offers, to your high ticket programs, all that type of stuff as well, right? So that's the reason why I'm doing that. Did okay. It wasn't, like any launch, what happens is you usually have pretty high stats, and then drop as it goes down the long that it's been around. And this one's been around for a little while. I've got some affiliates that are promoting it at the moment, and so therefore it's not a true reflection of how well it actually went to start with. But again, interesting stats in terms of order bumps and different things like that as well. And it did okay. I was pretty happy with that anyway. So anyway, this one was one that I created. I sold it first. So I sold it as a masterclass. And then I re-recorded the videos because I had all the material there. I re-recorded those because they were pretty messy when I did the initial class itself. And so I re-recorded those, and then I put them out there for basically as an evergreen product as well, and hence why you're seeing that. But I think the initial, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even think I had a cart page. I think I just was using an invoice to start with for this particular product. So there's probably another maybe $3,000 on top of that from the initial people that took up the actual offer to start with as well. So the two ways of doing that, just to recap real quick, one is you put all this time and energy into building out a program, high ticket, low ticket, recurring, doesn't really matter. And in doing so, you haven't really tested whether the market actually wants that thing. And so one of the issues with that is that you even need an audience, and that was why I created my second one that I showed you guys in this context, because it's a lot easier. I had a lot more confidence in the fact that I knew what they were after, I knew what they were mainly struggling with, I knew what I could provide in order to help them out. And so therefore, plus I've got a slightly bigger audience than a lot of other people that might be watching this as well. Sorry, depending on what part of the journey you're at, of course. So that was one way of doing it. But the problem is, like I say, you do need to have that audience. You do need to have that bond with your audience in order to be able to deliver that value and kind of trust that they're going to want to buy it based on what their needs are, etc. On the other side, I would pretty much encourage everyone always to sell first and build later. Because when you're doing that, you're getting paid for your time. Super powerful stuff. You also have validation that what you're doing is going to work because it has already worked, because you've already sold it. Okay. And so the things you need in place for that to happen, of course, are audience. Nothing's going to happen without one. You need an audience of some kind. You need to have some sort of bond with your audience where they at least know, like, and trust you to a certain degree. You don't need to be, a celebrity or anything like that. You don't need to be a guru, it's fine. But you do need to have some bond with your audience. You need to be able to solve a very specific problem for them in order to develop the workshops or the products that you're looking to create. And in doing so, like I say, when you sell that, it's just going to be a lot easier because you're actually getting paid to do it. You're getting paid for your time, you're getting paid to create the material, and it makes it a lot easier than just putting all this effort into something you don't actually know is going to convert. So, out of the two ways that I've done it, of course, one was slightly more polished because I had a lot more time to put into it. Whereas on the other ones, I was on a deadline. I had to just kind of not really rush through. I'm not saying I left stones unturned, things like that, but just bear in mind that you're going to have a more polished example if you are building the course or program first and then selling it. But I would always encourage you to do the opposite. I always encourage you to sell first, build it later, because it's just a lot easier getting paid for your time, and usually turns out pretty well. Then, of course, you can roll it into an evergreen product, and that's what a lot of people do. So anyway, hopefully that helps you guys out. It's a little bit different one today. If you did get any value from this, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Once again, my name is Jamie. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and see you in the next one. Cheers.